Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Inshallah, tonight we will continue with our topic, the nature of qualitative research. Although most of you are conducting the quantitative research, but this is part of the syllabus, so maybe it's good also for us to know, yeah, because there are some students who like to do the mixed method, then which means um, they combine the quantitative and the qualitative research. Let's welcome Madam Habiba, who has joined us. Yeah, Madam Habiba, how are you? Can you introduce yourself? You can introduce yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Salam
Go ahead. You can introduce yourself.
I'm Habiba Ali Yakubu. Good afternoon, all of you. I'm sorry, by my time in Nigeria here is afternoon, so I'm sorry. I know it might be night here in Malaysia, right?
Yes, it's at night in Malaysia and in Indonesia.
Okay, by my time here is like noon, Nigerian time.
So it's all right.
Well, I was like having issue with my payment, so I was not able to join the class for almost a year now. So I just did the payment just 3 days ago. So I decided to join the class. So I know I've missed a lot, but I hope to catch up with you guys.
Inshallah. You can ask questions in the WhatsApp group. Anything, any questions? Maybe you know, other students will help you. We have Madam Rosida, Bu Rosida, Bapak Fauzi, and Ustaz Firdaus here. And there are some others also.
Okay. Nice meeting you all.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, thank you, Ma. I'm so sorry. I'm just short of words. I'm sorry for the delay. It's beyond my power. I'm sorry, but I hope I will cope and catch up with. I need you people assistance so that I will catch up with all what I've missed in the class.
Inshallah, we all will try to help each other. So inshallah. So for assignment 1, I will give you the link, or can someone give the link to Madam Habiba here? You can resubmit whatever that you have as initial plan. Yeah, you can still submit.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, alhamdulillah, there are many people joining us now. Okay, let's continue with the topic. Our topic tonight is the nature of qualitative research. Usually when we think about qualitative research, we think about library research, right? Documentation, interviews, yeah, but actually there are many types of qualitative research. So tonight we will just touch briefly on the most common types of qualitative research. Yeah, common approaches include grounded theory, ethnography, action research, case study, phenomenology, and narrative research. So those are the common types of grounded theory. Anyone have heard of this grounded theory?
No.
Ethnography, case study, phenomenology, and narrative research. Bapak Fauzi, have you heard about all of these types of qualitative research?
Thank you, Prof. In our experience in the grounded theory, there are, when I take the thesis in my master, the case before I take a theory, the first I must do observation to our respondent. What the
Good,
problem,
good.
and then from the problem we start by the theory approach, which the newest, and then I receive the theory by model of social evolution model in 2021. That's
Good,
all, Prof. Thank you.
good,
That's all.
very good, very good. Yeah, I'm glad that some of you at least know a little bit. Otherwise, it's still all right. We will discuss. So what is a grounded theory? A grounded theory is a qualitative research approach, right? That attempts to uncover, that attempts to study the meanings of social actions, interactions, and experience. So the word grounded theory means, so these things, interactions, experiences, or certain events, or certain we call behavior of people, we call it grounded. Yeah. Those are the data, right? So there are many types of data that are grounded, right? Grounded, we say it's grounded because this data, yeah, this qualitative data, they are grounded in the participants' own explanations or interpretations, right? We can interview them, for example, or we can observe their behavior, right? Or we can use some other approach, yeah? So we want to find out their interpretations, right? So it's very important in the grounded theory that you specify and very clear on two things. Number one is who you who are your respondents, who you want to study, right? That must be very clear. And then where they are located. So that's those are the two questions that we want to ask when we do the qualitative research. Right? So the grounded theory approach has been used by researchers in various disciplines, including sociology, anthropology, psychology, economics, public health. In economics, for example, the researchers, for example, try to uncover the socio-economic conditions, for example. Yeah? In sociology, you know, for example, the researchers want to study, for example, the influence of religion on behavior. Just an example. There are many other examples, right? So the grounded theory approach is considered as a path breaking, meaning it is powerful in the sense that it combines other types of qualitative research also. So in grounded theory, the researchers use the inductive method, meaning starts with the data, starts with the data first, and then collect the data. There are many methods of collecting data, right? Once the data are ready, for example, the researchers collect data using interview, and then they can combine with observations, right? And some other approach of collecting data. Then from that data, they will analyze, right? They will analyze, the researcher will analyze the data and look for patterns, patterns, or looks for themes, themes. Tema looks for pattern or themes, right? From that analysis, at the end of the study, the researchers will try to come up with some kind of theory in the end. So it's called the inductive method. We start with data, analyze the data. In the end, we get the theory. So we don't start with the theory like in quantitative methods. Before this, we have discussed quantitative methods. So in quantitative methods, we stress the importance of the theoretical framework of the study, right? You must have the strong, solid, and justified theoretical framework of the study. In quantitative research, however, in qualitative research, you don't need a theoretical framework, right? So basically, you find issues. The issues must be very clear. The issues is about whom. It's about who you want to study, right? And where is the location of the people or the institutions that you want to study, right? So grounded theory is the reverse. In the end, the researchers will be able to come up with the theory, So grounded theory is a research method concerned with generating theory. So the purpose is, in the end, based on the explanation, based on the data, the researcher will be able to come up with what are the common pattern or what are the common themes that exist. So that then the researcher may be able to synthesize. Synthesize means find what themes is most important, for example, right? And what are the themes that are not so important. So usually in the end, the researchers will pick the important themes or the important patterns that exist in the data and delete those that are considered as trivial or not so important. Any question? This is abstract for some of you if you haven't done any qualitative research. Yeah? But Bapak Fauzi is an expert already. Yes, Ustaz Firdaus.
Yeah, Prof.
You can,
I
you
want
can ask
to
Bapak
ask.
Fauzi. You can
I want to
ask
ask
Bapak Fauzi.
some question. Maybe Bapak Fauzi also can answer lah, because he expert. How about the what do you call that? The historical research, which means that we do some research. We are doing some research that is comparative between the old history and the new history, and then we do some data comparison. Is it including inside the qualitative research, or it is other method?
Very
About
good
historical.
question. Yeah, very good questions. In some field, people do the historical analysis, right? By comparing, for example, two groups of people. So the question is it qualitative or is it a quantitative research? So the idea is, now what is a quantitative research? Quantitative research involves numbers, that's all. If it is measured in numbers, if your data is in numbers, then it is a quantitative research. Qualitative research doesn't involve numbers. It involves, for example, words. Yeah, it involves pictures. It involves some sketches. Yeah. For example, if a researcher tries to study, for example, the impact of religion or religious education on the behavior. So the researcher might go to a certain, might focus on a certain group of people, maybe group of people in Pasantren, right? Pasantren. So the respondents are people living in the Pasantrens. Am I pronouncing correct? Pasantren is a religious institutions, right?
Boarding school.
Religious
Islamic boarding school.
Yeah, religious
Islamic boarding school. Pesantren.
Oh, Pasantren is boarding school. Oh, what I meant was madrasa, the Islamic religious school, right? I'm just giving example. So the researcher might want to choose, students or people living in the Islamic environment, yeah, Bia. So, and then the researcher needs to determine which Pasantren, right? There are many. So what the researcher might want to do is maybe to observe, yeah, do the observation, and there are two types of observation. One is called the participant observation, where there are some researchers from outside. They may not be Muslims, for example, yeah, people from Western countries, people from outside of our country. Sometimes, there are people, researchers that are outside of the environment, right? So they come and they participate in the activities. Sometimes they pray together with the Muslims, for example. So that is called the participant observation. The other one is called non-participant observation, right? Non-participant observation is where the researchers just observe without doing any activity. Yeah. So based on the observation, and maybe coupled with other types of data collection, for example, interview. Yeah. the researcher might interview. Then based on the information, the researcher will come up with a certain we call a theme, tema, theme or pattern. Then from that one, from that pattern or theme, the researcher will eventually come up with a theory, right? So for historical studies, it can be qualitative, it can be quantitative, depending on the type of data that the researchers use. Yeah. So that's the idea. All right. Okay. So the inductive method, inductive method means the researchers will obtain the information, obtain the data first. Yeah. So the inductive method allowed the analysis of data during the collection process. Okay. Grounded theory is a research method concerned with generating theory. Or it is used to uncover, for example, social relationships, how people interact with each other, and behaviors of group. So known as a social process. So there are research to study the behavior of people in certain location, how they interact with each other, how the social relationships looks like. It's interesting usually to study social relationships and behaviors of groups other than our own people. For example, Indonesian researchers might want to study the social behavior of other people. That is interesting. But if, for example, Bapak Fauzi just study social behavior in Indonesia, so it would not be so interesting because we understand already, right? So the researchers might want to study, other, the groups of people that are quite alien. Yeah? They are quite alien. For example, Australian researchers come to Indonesia, right? So they want to study, social relationships among certain groups of people in Indonesia. Just an example. So grounded theory is a research method where the researcher develops the theory from the data. Get the data first, then later develop a theory. So it uses an inductive approach, right? So grounded theory refers to a set of systematic inductive methods. Inductive methods means get the data first, analyze the data, and then the theory comes later. The theory is developed later. So researchers use the term grounded theory to mean, what is the meaning of grounded theory? Grounded theory means the methods of inquiry for collecting and, in particular, analyzing data. So first get the data, then analyze the data. How to analyze? That's another topic. It's not as easy, yeah. Especially imagine if you have so many data. If you observe, you have to take notes, or maybe you want to record. You want to take pictures, make videos, right? and if you interview, right, you need to record, and then you need to do the transcription, right? So actually, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So grounded theory commonly uses the following data collections: interview people, yeah, use the interview. They interview the respondents or the participants that they want to study, right? And then participant observation means the researchers participate in the activities together with the respondents. Yeah. For example, a researcher from Australia, for example, yeah, they want to study the behavior of native people in Cameron Highland, Malaysia. So the Indonesian researcher spent like 4 or 5 months living with the native people. Yeah, in Malaysia we have native people. In Indonesia you have native people also. Yeah, there are many ethnic. Yeah, the origins, the aborigines. We call orang asal or orang asli. Yeah? So the researcher came and participate in the activities. When the native people dance, he danced. When the native people, went hunting for animals, he participated in the activities. Yeah, and also this is quite common, yeah, for Islamic types of research. Yeah, research in the areas of fiqh, for example, right? Research in the areas of Quran, Hadith, Da'wah, yeah, in the areas of Usuluddin, commonly use the study of artifacts and texts. Yeah, text means the old text, yeah, the old text that was written by scholars, yeah, or some other types. My friend just informed me that when he visited Thailand, I don't know which university, there are many old artifacts and texts written by previous scholars, that have not been printed. Yeah, so those are the types of data that can be used also in the grounded theory. Okay. So in religious study, for example, yeah, suppose there are some issues, yeah, we want to find out about the hukum or the ruling, right? So there are the common way is to study, kitab, yeah, the old textbook we call the Turath kitab, or some some artifacts or some old texts written by the ulama. Yeah? Okay. Kena buat ijtihad kan. Kalau nak buat ijtihad tu kena baca apa ni, cari kitab-kitab, ya. Kitab lama dan kitab baru, mungkin membuat comparison. Ya. So, grounded theory is a qualitative method designed to help arrive at new theories and deductions. Yeah, when there are issues, ya, Bapak Fauzi, ada isu untuk kita jawab. There are issues, questions to be answered. So grounded theory is used, yeah, to get the new rulings, maybe new deductions, maybe new ijtihad, maybe. Researchers collect data, okay, through any means they prefer. They can choose the types that they like, and then analyze the data. Analyze the data. So the data qualitative, the analysis of qualitative data is to me is time consuming, and although it doesn't involve numbers, but it involves a rich information. The challenge is from so many information, you want to find out what is the most important. So it's you have to do it in order to get the feel of how difficult it is, or how tough and challenging it is. Yeah. Okay, researchers. Okay. Through a comparison of these items, they plan theories. So based on the analysis, they come up with the important themes that they can subtract, or from that rich data. Then they can construct a new hukum, maybe new theories, new rulings, new deductions, new ijtihad. Yeah. They continue until they reach sample saturation, in which no new information upsets the theory they have formulated. So usually, for example, if they use interview or observation, they continue collecting the data until there is no new information. The data is there already. You interview other people, they give the same answer. You observe new people, you observe the same thing. So that means the information or the data is saturated already, then stop. Yeah. Then after that, the researcher can put forward the theory. Yeah. In grounded theory, the framework description guides the researcher's own interpretation of data. So the theory that they come up with is subject to the interpretation of the researcher. So it's kind of subjective. Yeah. If the researcher comes from Western countries, the interpretation might be different. Yeah. If the researcher comes from, for example, Japan, the interpretation might be different. So finally, at the end of the day, the theory that is put forth by the researcher is subjective. Yeah, is subjective. There are no numbers. There are no statistics. It's all based on the analysis of information from the perspective, or from the theoretic, from the mind, from the mind framework of the researcher. All right. Any question?
Prof,
Yes.
about the research, just now we discussed about the Fiqhul Mazahib, about we can say the old text from the Islamic text, or Islamic, we can say scripture. Is there any limitation, or is there any, we can say, limit, or is there any part of the boundaries that we put a certain, for example, what I call that, limit, which means, is there any limit, or we can try our very best to find a new ruling for the use of the new era people nowadays? For example, now we can see part of the thing, liberalization of the tafsir, how to liberate the tafsir to make it implementation for the people nowadays. even part of the ruling will be, like melanggar lah. Maksudnya it will not be as fluent as last time, but it going to be macam akan melanggar hukum yang orang lama telah lakukan seperti fiqh mazahib.
Yeah.
Is it we have to do our own fiqh mazahib nowadays in terms of the new ruling?
Very good questions.
The limitation.
Yeah, very good questions. Number one, it depends on which area you are doing a research, right? So, for example, if you are in the area of Islamic finance or muamalat, so suppose we have issues, right? And then we want to find out, is it halal or haram, permissible or not? For example, new things that come up, right? So what we might want to do is we might want to study all the madhahibs, yeah, all the madhahibs. We have four, what they say, the mu'tabar, for the four of the madhab that we say that most Muslims agree to, right? The four madhabs, for example. Of course, there are more than four, right? But we stick to the four, for example. So in the area of muamalat and Islamic finance, we do not restrict ourselves to only one madhab. So the solution, so the ruling that we want to arrive at, right, is the ruling based on all the madhabs or the madhahibs. And usually what we do is we choose the rulings that bring the most maslahah, right? That are most practical in today's life. Yeah, because some of the books were written long time ago and things might have changed, right? So we might want to find, so this is a job of the researcher to do the induction, to come up with the ruling. First, the researcher might want to review all the information from the four madhabs, including the common figures in each of the madhab, right? And then in the end, kena buat apa Ustaz kita panggil apa, tarjih, kita buat tarjih, yeah. Tarjih means we want to find out and analyze which one is the best in terms of bringing the maximum maslahah and avoiding mafsada, and also most practical. Yeah? So we don't restrict ourselves to any madhab, yeah, in Islamic finance. But if you're talking about ibadah, then it's different story. Usually, people in certain regions, they practice and they follow certain madhab, right? And they stick to the madhab. But it's a long discussion. It's a long discussion. Even in Malaysia, there are trends that there are certain people who are in the opinion that we do not have to stick to certain madhabs because all the madhabs are, founded by imams, right? But we choose the rulings from the madhabs that are more practical, right? For example, in the case of zakat on on, for example, animal produce, yeah, zakat on livestock, for example, yeah, zakat tanaman, or zakat fitrah. According to madhab Shafi'i, madhab zakat fitrah, zakatul fitr must be paid in what do you say? Dalam benda itu must be paid in uh, I don't know the English word.
Livestock.
Kalau zakat tanaman mesti
Plantation lah.
dikeluarkan zakat dalam
Tanaman.
dalam
Agriculture.
dalam
Oh.
tanaman itulah mesti bayar dalam nilai tanaman itulah. Tak boleh bayar cash zakat fitrah kalau ikut mazhab Syafi'i lah.
Syafi'i, correct.
But now we are not stick to any particular madhab because other madhab allowed to pay cash, right? So it's more practical to pay zakatul fitr using cash. It's more practical to pay zakat on animal or livestock in cash. Takkan nak bawa kambing pergi pejabat zakat dah Ustaz. Contoh gitu. Contoh gitu kan. But so so let's continue with how to conduct a grounded theory research. There are 4 stages. Stage 1, concepts are derived from interviews, observation, and reflection. So based on the data collection methods that are chosen, right? For example, interviews, participant observation, or non-participant observation. The researcher will do the reflection. The reflection means the researcher will point out what could be learned from that, right? Then in stage 2, the data is organized into categories, categories or themes or patterns, tema-tema, kategori-kategori ataupun pattern. Pattern ni bentuk data tu. The data is organized into categories or patterns or themes that represent themes or subplots. So as the categories develop, they are compared with one another and 2 or more competing theories are identified. So for example, suppose I want to study the factors that affect that influence whether people pay income zakat or not, right? And suppose I choose lecturers, right? So what I do is I will interview lecturers, right? And from the interview, I will transcribe, right? Transcribe, the meaning of transcribe is to write down every single word that is spoken by the people that we interview, right? Dia cakap apa pun kita kena type dan kena tulis. Then after all the interviews, all the observations, we can identify the common themes, right? From the wordings, we can determine, okay, this guy is talking about religiosity. So category number 1, religiosity. Religiosity is important factor that influence whether people pay zakat or not. The religious people, for example, tend to pay zakat compared to people who are not religious. Just for example, So we develop the category. Religiosity, the influence of friends, the attitude, and some other categories, right? So it depends on the researcher. The researcher should know how to form the themes, yeah, or the categories, yeah. So, step 3, the researchers need to develop categories, develop themes, and compare with one another. And then the final step involves the construction of the research hypothesis or the theory, right? So, how do the researchers come up with the theory? Based on the data, the researchers might want to group, yeah, the data into several categories and then synthesize. Synthesize means which themes appear more frequently. For example, yeah, if the themes or the categories is mentioned many times by so many respondents, that means that that theme is important. But if it's mentioned by only one person out of 20, so that might not be a very significant theme. Yeah. All right. So can we break for 15 minutes for Isha? Then inshallah we'll continue. Okay, 15 minutes break.
Okay, Prof. No problem.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm back. Okay, semua dah
Salam.
sempat, Ustaz Firdan masih ada?
Masih ada, masih bernapas.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Masya Allah. Bapak Fauzi, Bapak Fakri ada?
Ada Prof, Alhamdulillah masih.
Alah, kita ada
Maaf, maaf.
sahabat ini R. Ali Pangestu. Siapa ini? Dr. Saiful kan ini? Amar Dau. Ahlan. Okay,
Bukan Prof, bukan.
Bukan, Ini pelajar baru ya? Our new student. Bapak Ali.
Bapak Ali lost and found nggak? Hilang kan ya?
Ya. Belum kenal lagi. Mr. Songko, how are you? How is Uganda? You need to unmute. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Uganda is okay.
Okay, Alhamdulillah.
Very cool. I'm just waiting the day you will come and enjoy environment.
We cannot really hear what you are saying.
Yes, Professor.
We cannot really hear what you are saying because there is a
Network echoing. Echo.
Yeah, maybe there is a internet problem,
Yeah, connection problem.
connection problem, ya. Bapak Fakri, apa kabar?
Alhamdulillah Prof.
How's your progress? You are my I'm your supervisor.
Oh, thank you Prof, inshallah. Thank you.
So how's your progress? You can submit whatever that you have.
On progress Prof, inshallah.
Inshallah. And so by the way, I encourage each one of you to present at our conference. I think every one of you is aware that we have UCIC 2022, UNISHAM Cypher International Conference, and we want to collaborate with ITB Ahmad Dahlan and also Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah, and inshallah we will issue letter soon. I'm too busy because I'm the chairperson of the organizing committee for that UNISHAM Cypher International Conference, and I'm also the director of the Center for Islamic Finance and Education and Research. I'm the director of Cypher now.
Mashallah.
Mashallah, barakallah.
So I'm very busy. Okay, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Bapak Fauzi, can we present one paper out of your out of your initial plan? You need to unmute.
Inshallah, I will attend to international conference, and I was confirmed to Mr. Hafsna.
Hafsha, Mr. Hafsha.
Hafsa, yes, yes.
Who is your supervisor?
In in my account, there's no supervisor, Prof.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Actually, we cannot inform anybody unless you register.
Alhamdulillah, I have registered, but the supervisor is not yet on the my account. Account.
Okay. Maybe, yeah. We will take uh, the action as soon as possible. We know already, but I will have to check with Dr. Tahir.
Thank you, Prof.
Prof, most of us still don't have the reconfirmation for the register again.
Yeah, that's the issue. Here is what happens. Usually what happens is you need to register first before we can select your supervisor, right? That kena bayar dulu, Ustaz Firdaus. However,
Bayar insyaAllah dok, Prof bisa, tapi itu apa yang mau masuk account tu kan dia minta kita punya matrix number, saya nggak bisa tembus itu. Account yang Unisham punya login tu.
yeah, maybe you can refer to some other students from Indonesia. We have many students from Indonesia that have been able to make the payment, yeah.
Atau kita just make a payment first saja before ini, just bayar dulu aja.
You have to pay to the bursary, don't pay to me.
Yeah, I have the account yang kemarin punya lah, yang kita bayar RM2,000 kan, sama juga, same account.
I think same account, yeah, Bapak Fakri. Let me check.
I think same account.
Same account, yeah.
Same account lah. So we need to pay another 750, is it? Lagi RM750 lah.
I'm not sure about that procedure. You need to contact Mr. Fakhruddin or some people from Graduate Management Center.
Okay, insyaAllah.
Here is the thing. I'm your lecturer, right? So if you don't make any payment and you don't register for this class, I cannot give you any marks, and we cannot choose your supervisor accordingly. So that's the rule of the university. So if you ask me how to pay, I don't know. I'm your lecturer. I'm not your treasurer. I'm not working at the treasury.
Yeah, correct.
So you have to ask other students, yeah, how to make the payment. Okay. So my concern is I want to pass all of you from this class, yeah. But if you don't register yourself, you cannot pass. Yeah, that's. Bapak Fakri sudah register kelas ini?
Not yet, Prof. Because Mr. Fakhruddin said she connected internet is not good in university, Prof.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Saiful already registered. I saw his name.
I don't know. I don't know, so, Prof. Because I don't meet him today, gitu.
Okay, you can ask him how he did it. Yeah, can learn from other people. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I will ask him to process, Prof. Inshallah.
Yeah, and register for this class. Yeah? Actually, it's already past the deadline. You cannot register yourself. You have to ask the people Mr. Fakhruddin from the Graduate Management Center. He will help you to register, but you have to talk nicely to him because actually he's not supposed to register any students now because it's too late. But inshallah, if you talk nice to him, he will help you. Maybe.
But the response is slow, Prof. Not
Okay.
fast.
I cannot speak on their behalf, yeah. Yeah, you know, just like any other university, right? All the students need to register for the class. Then the lecturer
Yes.
can give you the marks.
Yes.
All right, let's continue. In the grounded theory, there are several processes. Like I said, we have to do the coding, right? Do the
Yes.
coding. Coding means we put the information according to the. Wait, what happened here? We put the information, yeah, we analyze the information or the data according to themes or patterns or categories. And the process is called coding. What are the codings? Codings are set of words used to describe the meaning of a phenomena. For example, I want to find out the determinants of the payment of zakat, right? So I need to put the coding. For example, coding number 1, religiosity. Coding number 2, attitude. Coding number 3, social influence, and so on, right? So we need to do the coding. Number 2, theoretical memoing. This is an internal process of organizing the data, forming concepts, and testing the validity of the research. So the researcher must have a good understanding of the theory before this occurs. You know, for example, I do the grounded theory approach on the compliance behavior of income zakat, right? And I have more than 30 articles on compliance behavior of zakat. So we have a good understanding of what we want to do the research, right? Otherwise, you can read, yeah, you can examine previous studies, yeah, previous studies on what you are trying to do, yeah. So the topics that you want to do, usually, yeah, there are many other researchers that have done already. So you need to examine some of the existing theories by looking at the previous research. And then compile the findings. How do we compile the findings? Usually, like I said, we do the synthesize, right? Synthesize some lebih kurang macam tarjih, ya, Ustaz Firdaus, macam tarjih. We find what are the most important concepts, yeah, starting from the most important, the less important, until the least important. All right, so that's basically the process of grounded theory. Now, what are the characteristics of grounded theory? Number 1, it is personal. Personal means the researchers spend time with participants, yeah? Go and meet participants, interview them, observe them. So it's personal, face to face, yeah, usually. Observe them in their real situation, right? You don't ask them to come to your office. We go to their, to their surroundings, to their location, yeah? Interview them, ask them questions, right? Ask each participant certain questions about their their experience, their thinking, and other aspects that you want to study. Number two, it is flexible, flexible in terms of the information that the researchers get are not strict, the information depends on what the answers depends on the answers given by the respondents, right? So you might ask follow-up questions, different questions, and in the end, what you get might not be the same as what you thought at the beginning of the research. You find something. So it's more flexible than let's say questionnaire, right? So a questionnaire, you have the questionnaire items, you stick to that one. But in terms of the grounded theory, it is more flexible. So it depends on the answers given by the respondents, and the researchers will observe and listen carefully to what the respondents answer and observe their behavior, how they answer questions, the tone of their voice, and yeah, so it's flexible, and it starts with data. The grounded theory approach does not have a theory at the beginning of the research. It starts with the data, right? So the researchers will observe, will interview the participants, and later the data is assessed, analyzed, until in the end the researchers will form a certain hypothesis and theory. So theory and hypothesis comes towards the end. Okay, that's the grounded theory. Any question before we move on to other types of qualitative research?
Prof,
Yes,
about
yes.
the flexible just now, you explained about the flexible, which means that in a way of we give them a random question, or the question must be written and must be emailed to them earlier before we meet them to do the interview.
Good
Or
question.
after we do the interview, then there's another question outside from the structure question that we send to them.
Very good question. So in interview, number one, we should have interview protocols. Interview protocol means the set of questions that the researchers want to start asking. After asking these questions from the interview protocol, the researchers are free to ask any other questions to follow up the answers depending on the response given by the interviewees. So that's number one. Number two, I would like to mention that there are two types at least. Actually, there are three, but the most common is two types of questions asked in the interview. Number one is open-ended. Number two is closed-ended. Yeah. Open-ended means the questions allows the respondents to answer in any way that they feel like answering, and the researchers give them freedom to answer. How long they want to answer, how they want to answer, they have the freedom, right? And the second type is closed-ended question. Is close-ended is like, do you pay zakat? So it's close-ended, yes or no? So usually in the grounded theory, the researchers ask the open-ended questions and give the participants the freedom to answer the questions. Okay, Firdaus?
Okay, Prof. Clearly and noted.
Okay, very good. Any other question?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Yes.
Sir,
Madam Habibah, you can ask questions.
concerning the issue of flexibility and participatory, is it not like the focus group discussion?
Good question. One of the methods of collecting data in ethnography is called focus group questions. Yes. In the focus group, what happens is the researcher will have the interview protocols, meaning there are questions that they want to ask each of the participants in the focus group, right? For example,
Yes,
there are 4 experts, right? From
sir.
that comes from different background.
Okay,
So what happens is the researchers try to gather all the participants in one room, right? In one room, face to face.
Yes.
But
Yes.
nowadays, because of the constraint, focus group can be done using Zoom also. Yeah, using
Yes.
Zoom, yeah, or
Yes.
any other methods of communication. Yeah. So what happens is the researchers will prepare a set of questions for each of the experts that they interview, and usually experts come from different background, so that the researcher is able to compare and analyze the answers given from different perspectives. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So very good question. Focus group is one of the common methods to collect data.
Yes.
And, and it's to me it's quite efficient because the advantage of focus group is, number one, you get the answer on the spot, right? You ask them the questions, give them the questions. You don't have to wait. And number two, it saves your time because you can ask them questions that otherwise require you to read a lot to get the information, because they are experts, right? So you ask them questions and you get your questions answered immediately and within a short period of time. Yeah. So
No.
that's the advantage of the focus group.
Focus.
However, the problem with a focus group is the disadvantage is that sometimes it's difficult to gather all these experts in one setting at a specific time, because sometimes this expert is busy, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, so that is a challenge to find and to to gather uh, to plan a specific date for all of them to be there. So
Yeah.
that is a challenge.
Okay, sir.
Okay, very good. Mr.
So,
Sonko, you have
one more question. Sorry, Doc.
yes.
Prof.
Mr.
About
Firdaus.
for example, now we are assessing the interview. We want to meet the person that we are confirm for the meeting. Now we are structured all the question beforehand. Then if let's say the researcher itself never attend the interview, there is a we can call sub researcher 2 or 3 person was appointed to be on behalf of the researcher to do the interview. Is it possible to do that?
It's possible, yes, but the best is done by the researcher himself, because advantage of the advantage of having only one person to interview is that there is what we call the common. There is no problem of what do you say, bias, yeah. So we the advantage is there is what we call the common way of asking questions. So if you have different person to interview, he or she might have different way of interviewing, yeah. So that is kind of disadvantage, but it can be done. It can be done. For example, if the research is in a big scale, right, and the leader of the research is very busy, yeah, he is a professor or emeritus professor, he doesn't have time to interview, so he will ask some of the co-researcher to do the interview. That is usually done. It can be done. I remember I was selected as interviewee, one of the interviewees. The research was on zakat, on the management of zakat, and usually the young lecturer or the co-researcher came and interviewed me. The leader very rarely came for the interview or for research, what you call for the focus group, yeah, because of the time constraint. Yeah, it can be done, no problem. As long as the questions are ready, yeah, the interview protocols are ready. And usually what happens is the co-researchers need to be given a training, yeah, on how to interview. Yeah, that must be done. Otherwise, it would not be very effective.
Prof, izin bertanya, Prof.
Ya,
How many
silakan.
samples do we need if the research use direct data, Prof?
I would suggest to use a saturation approach. Saturation approach means, for example, you do the focus group, right? So you do the first focus group. For example, you want to look at your topic from different angles, yeah? Maybe you want to find expert on maqasid, yeah? You want to have experts on Islamic banking, and then another experts from, let's say, from legal background, and some other experts, right? So what you do is you have the interview protocols or the focus group protocols, meaning the set of questions you want to ask for each of the experts, right? Based on the answers given by the experts, whether in the interview session or the focus group sessions, the researcher or the co-researchers who are trained, right, will ask the follow-up questions, right? Okay, and then if all the if all the data or information can answer your research questions and research objectives, then it's enough. The what to say, the information is saturated. But if you feel like, there are some informations that are missing, for example, that cannot answer your research question and research objectives, you continue, right? You continue with another interview of another participants, and you go on until the information is saturated. Saturated means the new persons, the new participants, the next participants give the answers that are the same as the answers given by the previous participants, meaning no new information, same answer, same information. Then you stop. The question is how many? It depends, it depends. Some people stop at 2 interviews, some people stop at 3 interviews. So it depends. The key is the information or the data is saturated. Means, you feel like there are no new information that are needed. So you stop at that.
Prof, sorry, Prof.
Yes, no problem.
If let's say we make an interview about one of the topic, for example, Islamic banking topic, for example, Ijara, and then we are focused on one bank, for example, how many experts that we need to stated inside our interview for the same question that we're going to give for the topic, for example?
How many interviewees,
Yeah, which means how many experts that we need to interview for our research.
Yeah, that's
Valid.
that's what I was trying to say. You start with the first expert, and then of course you have the interview protocols, right? And then you ask the follow-up questions on the first. You start with experts number 1. Okay, and then it's possible that expert number 1 give most of the informations, right? However, it is possible that the expert number 1 doesn't know about certain aspects, right? Let's say the answer is, I'm not sure about this. So that means there are still informations that are needed. So what you do is you go to the second expert. How do you find the second expert? The most common way is you ask the first expert, Prof, do you can you suggest an expert that I might be able to do the interview? So that is called the snowball approach. The snowball approach means the next expert is determined by suggestion from the current expert. So you don't specify at the beginning of the research, I'm going to interview 7 experts. No, you don't specify any number of experts that you want to interview. So in the saturation approach, you start with number 1, you go on to number 2, and so on until you feel like the information is saturated. So that is called the saturation approach, right? In order to find the next experts, you do the snowballing the snowball method, meaning the next expert is chosen based on the information or the suggestions by the experts that you interview. Did I answer your question, Ustaz Firdaus, or I mumble?
Yeah, Doc, Prof, meaning that if let's say from the first expert that we interview, when we never get any satisfied answer, then we need to ask the person that we interview, who is the best for us to go for the next question, is it?
Right, that is called the snowball method.
Snowball method. This
Yeah.
means snowball method.
Yeah, that is called the snowball method.
Okay, that means we can ask the person instead of we finding on our own, we just ask the person that we interview.
If you find on your own, it's not a snowball method.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can find on your own. But I'm saying if you want to use the snowball method, which is very common, you ask that expert about who is the possible candidate that you could interview. That is the method that are commonly used. But if you can find the experts on your own, that is still okay. That is still okay. But that's not a snowball method. Okay,
Thank you, Prof.
most welcome. Ustaz Firdaus, as-su'al miftahul ilmi.
Mistahul ilmi.
Yeah.
Aywa.
As-su'al miftahul
Kunci
ilmi.
apa? Kunci ilmu.
أنا أحب السؤال.
Fadal. أي سؤال؟
تفضل. هل هناك السؤال الآخر؟
لا تمام مية.
ما شاء الله. الحمد لله.
شكرا على إجابتكم يعني.
وإياكم. Okay, any other question before we continue? So many good questions. I like questions.
Prof, I want to ask some question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, about interview. Cause some of interviews are busy.
Right.
How to make effective and efficient in collect data or interview in qualitative research. And number two, according to literature review, when we take different method with our research, is it valid, Prof, between qualitative and quantitative method? Thank you, Prof.
Very good questions. Number one is the question is regarding the disadvantage of interviews. Yeah, one of the disadvantages of interviews is that sometimes it's difficult to have an appointment. Yeah, to do the interviews, especially face to face. Yeah, but nowadays you can do the interview using Zoom or using Google Meet or other methods. Yeah. So I find that the online interview is as good as the face-to-face. Yeah. You can record. For example, the person is busy. You can contact him, using WhatsApp or email, or contact his or her PA, make an appointment. You have to be nice. Yeah. You have to be say nice, and you have to convince them that the research need the person to be interviewed, and explain to him or to her the importance of doing the interview, and what else? Explain to him or to her that the interview shouldn't take very long. It's just online. Just any time that he or she is available. Yeah. So so that's my suggestion. You can do the online interview. What is your second question? I forgot.
Is it about different method we take in literature review between qualitative and quantitative method? Is it valid or not?
All right. So if you do quantitative research, right? So it's the literature review is very important because it guides you uh, to construct the theoretical framework of the study. Right? From the literature review, when you review what previous researchers have done, right? You will be able to find what we call the literature gap, right? Literature gap is what have not been done that are significant. Yeah, some researchers they call it gray area. Gray area means some aspects of the topic that still do not have empirical support. Yeah, or there are some mixed evidence or inconclusive evidence that needs to do further study in order to get a more conclusive evidence, right? So in quantitative research, it is usually more comprehensive. Yeah, comprehensive means for each of the themes, the thema, the themes, or the variables or the constructs that are included in the research, in the quantitative research, there is a comprehensive reviews done on that variables. For example, in the framework, you have 4 independent variables, right? And then you have one mediating variable, for example, and then one moderating variable. So that means you have 6 themes, right? So for each of the variables, you want to review previous studies on that variable. For example, your variable, let's say, financial literacy, right? Perceived complexity. So you need to find the relevant articles on that variable. So if you have 6 variables, that means for each of the variables, the literature review should be comprehensive. You should include the ones that have the highest authority, the famous person doing research in that area, and focus on the recent articles. Yeah, within the articles written within 5 years. Yeah. For qualitative, the literature review usually is not as comprehensive as the quantitative. Yeah, because usually the qualitative research is done on the subjects that have not been that the number of research that have been done on that subject is quite limited. Yeah? Usually qualitative research is done on the topic that has not been, what do you say, that has not been done comprehensively, meaning the articles or the research is limited, tidak banyak, not many. So that means you'll find that in qualitative research, the literature review is not as comprehensive, yeah, unless the person used the method of what you call the systematic literature review. That's another thing. There are certain research that use systematic literature review, right, as a method of getting the data to answer the research question and research objective. Then, if the researcher choose systematic literature review, then it is comprehensive. Yeah. Remember, literature review and systematic literature review are two different things. They are totally different. Here in Islamic finance, usually we do not do systematic literature review. We just do the literature review, right? So your answer is your question is about literature review, right? So if you do qualitative research, usually the literature review is not as comprehensive, it's not as exhaustive. Tidak banyak sangat ya untuk qualitative research. Tapi untuk quantitative ya memang perlu banyak lah. Usually quantitative is done on the topic that has been done by voluminous research ya. Sudah ada banyak research yang dilaksanakan. Kita cuma ingin menambah, we just add and modify certain things. Yeah. So actually, in quantitative research, there are many research that has been done. What we want to do is we want to extend a little bit. Yeah, extend a little bit. We might use some of the variables that have been used before, but we need to introduce something new also. We cannot just duplicate, copy paste this framework and say, oh, this is my framework. No, you have to come up with your own with a novelty or innovation, something new, right? So that our framework looks different from others. Different doesn't mean totally different. Different means even if there are some similarities, some common variables, but there are certain aspects or certain variables that are still that have not been studied before. So, is it okay? Is my answer okay? Is it?
Prof, jadi kalau untuk literatur review itu kita tidak memungkinkan ya jika kita menggunakan metode yang berbeda. Tadi mungkin antara kualitatif dan kuantitatif itu karena kan ada perbedaan mungkin ya Prof ya gitu ya.
Betul.
Siap. Baik Prof.
Usually in qualitative, what happens is the way they do the literature review, they start from the general concept, right? It's like the what you call the reverse pyramid, yeah? It's like the upside down pyramid. Start with the general concept, and then you go down to the more specific, and then to the more and more specific, yeah? Usually that's how the qualitative research the literature review looks like. However, I find that recently there are not much difference between quantitative and qualitative literature review. The trend from my reading, I find that the recent research, the way they do the literature review is they focus on the themes, the variables or the constructs or the themes that they want to do the research, right? If you read a research done in the 1990s, for example, the way they do is they do the literature review on the general concept, right? And then they focus on the concepts that are more specific, and then more and more specific. So it's like the upside down pyramid. That if you read research in the 1990s, the old research, right? Even in the early 20s. But now I find that based on my readings, most of the research now is done based on thematic approach. Thematic approach means they focus, first I want to focus on this theme, this thema, or this coding, or this whatever the concept, right? So they focus on 4 or 5 concepts, and they do the literature review based on thematic approach. That is the trending. I was actually, there is no right or wrong in my opinion. It's just the old method versus the new method, from my understanding. Can you give me 5 minutes? My family member is calling me. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, no problem, Doc. Take your time.
My wife is calling me.
Ini mana Dr. Saiful kita kata kemarin mau kopdar, nggak jadi ya? Dok, gimana mau kopdar nih, jadi nggak?
Menteri Keuangan sudah oke nih. Kapan?
Kapan mau kopdar nih? Di kantornya atau gimana, Dok?
Di rumah saja, di rumah saya.
Ya bisa, di Bintaro atau Ciputat?
Di Ciputat.
Oh, dekat sama kantor kita itu, Ciputat.
Oh ya, di mana?
Kita di Good Space yang Alfamart itu, di belakang UIN.
Oh, dekat banget itu.
Di situ kantor kita. Kita sewa situ.
Hanya paling 10 menit kali ya dari situ ke rumah.
Ya bisa juga. Nanti janji kapan minggu depan, teman-teman lain kalau bisa gabung.
Boleh. Kapan? Hari
Dok tetapkan lah.
Iya.
Kan hari Rabu kan wisuda, Dok. Mungkin hari Kamis lah kalau bisa.
Kamis. Nanti pada puasa Senin Kamis, jadi tak ada makan ya.
Buka puasa lah semuanya. Allah belakang sumtu aja. Buka puasa awal aja.
Boleh Kamis, insyaallah.
Kamis ya.
Set ya.
Share di
Yang
grup
lain
lah.
bisa Pak Didin.
Yang lain gimana? Oke, Kamis.
Saya ikut.
Wah, Pak Fauzi aman, dia ikut, dia follow aja. So hari Kamis insyaallah.
Kamis insyaallah ya.
Oke.
Buka puasa itu ya, awal ya. Buka zuhur.
Buka puasa awal.
Buka zuhur.
Nanti kita minta Pak Fauzi kita azankan aja lu. Ini Ana belum daftar lagi nih, nggak tahu gimana di cerita kita nih. Ada beberapa teman-teman juga kan?
Ya.
Belum daftar.
Masih perlu bersabar, tapi mungkin besok kita bisa tanya lagi ya.
Nah, kalau bisa
Mm-mm.
biar teman-teman dalam grup ini semua dapat terdaftar kan. Jangan sampai
Iya,
ada yang
iya.
tertinggal.
Ini ada Pak Amar Daulay nih, baru nih, peserta baru.
Wah, alhamdulillah.
Heeh. Sudah dapat LOA, mungkin nanti menyusul.
Oh, menyusul juga.
Mm-mm.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam, Prof.
Oh,
Ya, Prof.
Dr. Saiful is here.
Sorry for
Alhamdulillah.
being late, Prof.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, some technical problem with my computer, and yeah, alhamdulillah it's okay already now.
Okay, it's all right. You can watch my videos. So I encourage everyone, you go to Google or you go to YouTube, yeah, and type Dr. Yusuf TV, yeah. You
Dr.
type Dr. Yusuf TV, yeah, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Now I'm very famous. I have more than 100 subscribers. So
Wow.
I'm famous now. Okay. So you can go to YouTube and look for the previous lectures. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let's continue with the question by Bapak Dinding on literature review. Here is my experience. I started being a lecturer in 1992. Yeah. So that is my first job. After I received my master's, I became a lecturer in 1992, 30 years ago. So I'm an old man. So what happens when we did research, right, in the 1990s, I found that the way we write literature review is different in the 1990s compared to how we write literature review now. So like what I shared with you, you can watch previous lectures on how to write literature review. Nowadays, the best way is you fill the literature review template, right? I gave you the literature review template. So you just copy paste first the template, right? And then later on, based on the template, we write the literature review. So watch the video on the lectures on how to write literature review. That is the best way to write literature review. Yeah, okay, Bapak Dinding? I discourage you to write literature review the way we used to write a long time ago. When I was young, we wrote literature review without template, right? We read article and we write. We read another article and we write about the objective findings. In the end, it becomes like news, like berita. No synthesis, no comparison. We just tell what others have done. So that's not a good way of doing literature review. So after you fill in the template, remember, one template for one construct, one template for one theme, right? So if you have, for example, 4 IVs, one moderating, one mediating, that means you have 6 constructs, and you have 6 templates. One template for one construct. Don't mix it up. Jangan campur-campur. This template is for attitude. This template for religiosity. This template for perceived usefulness. Yeah. So that's how you do. After you fill the template, then you write the literature review. So watch my lecture on how to write literature review. Right,
All right.
very good. Any question? Any other question before we go on?
Prof, one more thing. Just now, you discussed about the what they call that, the online interview, yeah. I mean online questionnaire.
No online interview.
Oh, sorry, online questionnaire, Prof. Online questionnaire that normally nowadays they use the Google form to get the data. So how we can say the validation of the data using the online, is it there is a possibility of uncertainty or not for the data online? Because online sometimes we can say that it's a robot or whatever, robot can answer for it. Nowadays they got the robot, right, to answer the online stuff. So is it how you want to, to check the data? Is it the data balance or the data is compliance or what?
Dr. Saiful, help me out. Dr. Saiful will answer that question.
Google form, Prof. Google
Yeah.
form normally.
The question about the proper way of doing sending the questionnaire or using the e-survey, we call e-survey, using Google form. What's the best way of doing it, and how to avoid, from what do you say? From the problem of computer answering the question. Ya, silakan Dr. Saiful.
Oh, I think you want to answer the question, Prof. Yeah. Actually, when we use a Google form to make a survey with our prospect respondent, it is only can be answered by human, and sometimes we use like how to say, a system or a password using some signal that can ignore robot to answer the question automatically. So I think there I haven't ever found a problem with that such condition. So all the data that we gather from the Google form is usually only can be directly checked by validity and how to say, validity and reliability checking in statistic. So I think that's the answer, Prof.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Dr. Saiful. My comment is, when we do the e-surveys, we should not say that we use simple random sampling. So I think that is a common mistake. There are some researchers, some students who use e-surveys, and in the writing, they say this research or this study use simple random sampling, SRS. I would not recommend to use SRS when you use e-surveys. Here is the reason. What is the meaning of simple random sampling? It means that every elements in the population of the study have an equal chance of being selected, right? For example, the population of studies contain 13,000. For example, 13,000 elements, right? And then in simple random sampling, the probability of choosing each one is one out of 13,000, right? Everybody has equal chance. Now, in the e-surveys, not everybody has equal chance. That's number one, because you do not select the respondents. You just, macam kita pergi fishing, you just throw out, and some luck, some people will answer, right? In certain groups. That's number one, my comment. Number two is to find the right respondents, because from my observation, some researchers, they sent to the wrong WhatsApp group, right? And then the wrong persons answer the question. Let me give you an example. One researcher, right, from Uganda, right? And then he wants to do the research on the adoption of technology in Uganda. And I got the email and I got in my WhatsApp asking me to answer the questions. So I did not answer because I'm not from Uganda, I'm from Malaysia. So it might be possible some people outside of the, outside of the elements of the population might answer the problem. So those are the two things that I would like to comment. So the researcher need to, find ways to tackle these two problems. So find the number one, find the correct or the appropriate criteria of sample selection. So the sample selection criteria must be correct. There are many sample selection criteria. We have besides simple random sampling, we have purposive sampling. We have cluster sampling, stratified sampling, quota sampling, and other types of sampling. So you need to choose the right criteria. Yeah. So that's my comment. Please choose the right criteria related to the way you use e-surveys. Yeah.
Prof, one more thing. Did you agree with me if, let's say, we are doing the online questionnaire? Do you agree with me that we can get a good answer from the questionnaire that we given to the what you call it, to the people we email them, whatever, because we never meet them in person. Maybe from the question that we give them online, maybe they can give us more reliable and more truthful answer instead of we meeting them in person. Sometimes people, when meet in person, they maybe want to give us the reliable or the real answer. They feel shy or they have some feeling inside them. So how about it, Prof?
My comment is the advantage of using face-to-face, what do you call, face-to-face questionnaire, where the researcher himself or his, what do you say, the research assistants, the trained research assistants go and meet the respondents face-to-face and ask them to fill the questionnaires. To me, it has advantage. Number one, you determine the sample criteria. Suppose you say this research use, let's say, clustered sampling, right? So your criteria is clustered sampling. How do you do clustered sampling? Suppose you want to do a study in Java, right? In Java. And then there are how many provinces in Java? How many provinces?
Indonesia or Java, 32 ah? 32
Java.
provinsi ah?
Tiga,
Berapa Pak?
In
tiga
Java, 5.
provinsi.
Java 3,
3.
3 provinces.
Tiga
Jawa Tengah,
provinsi.
Jawa Timur, Jawa Barat.
Ya,
Jawa Tengah,
bisa.
Banten, Jogja.
Banten,
lima.
Jakarta.
Six province.
Iya.
Jogja
Five,
sendiri
five.
ada
Ada
juga.
6,
How many? 6.
6.
Jakarta, Banten,
Banten, Jawa
Jakarta,
Tengah,
Banten,
Jawa Barat,
Jawa
Jogja,
Tengah.
sama Jawa
Jogja.
Timur.
ya 6.
6.
6.
Iya, iya, iya.
Bapak Firdaus, why you say 3? There are
No,
6.
because
Sorry.
normally I travel from Jakarta to Surabaya by what? By car. So I just know three province only. Even I arrive at Jogja also, but I never don't know that one is Jawa Tengah.
It's all full toll, full toll.
Okay. Suppose we will discuss later in the sampling, in the topic of sampling, but it's all right. So suppose you want to use cluster sampling, right? In cluster sampling, first you determine all the clusters. For example, in Java, you have 6 provinces. So that means you have 6 clusters, right? And then in cluster sampling, you don't choose all. You might choose 2 or you might choose 3 of the sample. Suppose you choose only 2 provinces, right? Within the province, then you do the simple random sampling within the province. Let's say province number 1 and province number 2. Within each province, you do the simple random sampling. That means you choose randomly the respondents. So if you go by person, the advantage is you choose the respondent, right? You are able to go to that province and you determine who you want to give the questionnaires to, and you give the questionnaire directly to the right respondent. That's the advantage. Like I said, the disadvantage of e-surveys is you cannot do that. You send to email, you send to WhatsApp, and what happens? Some people who are not relevant might answer. You have no control. Like all of a sudden, there is an email from Uganda, and there's a WhatsApp from Uganda asking me to answer questions regarding the use of technology in Uganda. How, why you choose me? I'm from Malaysia. So that is a problem with the e-survey. But of course, the advantage of e-survey is, is cost saving. Yeah, is cost saving. You don't have to travel. If you want to do the face-to-face, questionnaire, yeah, it involves costs. Yeah, to travel. In the old days, we used to send the questionnaire by mail, yeah, by mail. And the problem was the response rate was low. Nobody is interested. Everybody was busy. The response rate was low. So you can use the e-service, but you have to tackle this thing. Number one, how do you choose the respondents? How do you choose the respondents? You send to their WhatsApp or send to their email. If you can do that, it's all right. But if you send to the group WhatsApp, right? And there might be some people who do not, who are not among, who are not supposed to be your respondents, and they answer the question. then that could be the bias. Yeah. So that is the concern for me. How do you select your respondents using WhatsApp or email? Number one. Number two, how do you want to exclude people who are not supposed to answer the questions? So that is the challenge for me. All right. So what time is it? So we have like 15 minutes to go. Let me repeat. I would like everybody here to present at our UNISHAM Cypher International Conference. The deadline is 17th of November to submit the abstract and video. The full paper is sent later. Yeah, the full paper is sent on the 23rd or 24th of November. So on the 17th, you need to submit the abstract and the video. Very simple. I think everybody can do that. Eh? And this conference, I put it there in collaboration with ITB Ahmad Dahlan. And we will follow up. Dr. Saiful, yeah? we will have to write a letter to invite ITB Ahmad Dahlan as a collaborator. Yeah. And I would like you to help me out later on when we receive the papers and the video. We want to put or we want to upload, yeah, upload in the YouTube, our YouTube channel, right? And if I have trouble, maybe we can have Zoom meeting to discuss if I have trouble to upload, because I'm the chairperson of this conference. I was just appointed like 2 months ago. It was supposed to be done. It was supposed to be led by other person, right? So I was selected in the last minute as a replacement. So I want to get it done. And I'm also appointed as the new director of Cypher. So I'm very busy. And I have 10 PhD students, yeah, as a main supervisor. And I have 7 PhD students as co-supervisor. I'm very busy and sometimes very tired. Last week I was too tired to teach this class because when you read too much, when you have to read too much, you feel mentally tired. Yeah. So please, everybody, try to present. Yeah. Put your supervisor. So I have Dr. Saiful and Bapak Fakri under my supervision. Please write 1 or 2 articles each, and we can, present. And others also, you can, and it's counted as one of your publication. Remember that as a PhD student, you need to publish at least two papers. One is in International Refereed Journal, the other one is in Scopus Journal. So first we publish in International Refereed Journal first, yeah, this year. And maybe next year we try Scopus.
Prof. Yusuf,
Yes.
yeah, I already asked my student in ITB Ahmad Dahlan to submit their abstract to the links, and maybe you can find so many students already submitted. But there is one problem because all of them are not completely conducted to finalize their research.
It's
So-
all right. It
so
can be conceptual paper without data.
so is it possible to make the presentation like a colloquium or something like that? Or
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Sure.
okay.
So-
So maybe there will be around 40 students will join the
MashaAllah,
outlook.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So it can be like conceptual paper, you know, out of initial proposal, you know, out of chapter 1, out of literature review. It can be a paper. So it doesn't have to come from the full research.
Okay, but how about the publication, Prof?
Yeah, we will publish. We will publish after a revision. You have two choice. One to publish in December, and it's under a company. Yeah, it's under a company, and the chief editor is Dr. Tahir. Yeah. So, so
Okay.
we have. So he's very kind, but of course, the article will be sent to reviewers very quickly. So usually at international reference journal, the what is it? The revision process is not very strict. Yeah, it's not very strict. So last time we published all the papers.
Okay.
After minor correction, it's all right. The other one is will be published in June next year. This journal is under Cipher. The first journal is under company owned by some of us, some of the lecturers. Yeah, we have a company to publish papers in order to help some of our master students, especially who are required to publish, but they have trouble to publish, so they can send to this journal. So you can choose either. There are two journals. One is called International Journal of Contemporary Issues, will be published in December this year, and the other one is CIGIF, Cipher International Journal of Islamic Finance, will be published next year in June. So you have to wait a little bit longer. So it's your choice. If you want it quick, you send to International Journal of Contemporary Issues. If
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Alhamdulillah, thank you, Prof. Because I already told my student that the publication will be a fulfillment of their requirement to get their certification.
Good.
So yeah,
Good.
we really
So,
hope all
what-
the people will
yeah.
be published.
So what they will get is for 50 ringgit, they will get the certification, the certificate of presentation, right?
Yeah.
And then another 50, another 100 to publish, yeah? Another 100 to publish, right? So to present, just for students, just pay 50 ringgit. Don't pay any other amount, just 50 ringgit. Then before we publish, right? Then we will ask them to pay another 100 ringgit. So it's very cheap. You cannot find any other conference in the world that is that cheap. Only 50 ringgit to publish. Yeah, Ustaz Firdaus, you cannot find in
Correct.
any other place in the world.
Oh yeah, Prof. How about the payment? Can we do it in the
In group,
in group? Yeah.
I think you can. You can. Maybe what you do is you make one payment and you send the receipt, right? And attach with the
participant name.
yeah, maybe the names of the first author, yeah? The name of the first author and the title. First author and the title, so that we could refer to who makes the payment. Or you can make a list, number one, authors and the title. Number two, authors and title. We just want to trace who make the payment, right? Yeah, it's easier like that, I think. I think it can be done.
Prof, sorry, Prof. For the video itself, is it we need to do the only we explain in the abstract about the title or the journal that we want to deliver
Yeah,
in the
just
video
10 minutes.
method?
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes in the video format.
Yes, in the
I
video.
mean casual wear, smart casual wear our attire, is it?
Yeah,
Need to wear.
just wear something. As long as you wear something. And we'll send the background, like Dr. Saiful here has a background.
Yeah.
We'll create a background. Or can someone help me to create the background, Dr. Saiful? Remember, we have the flyer, right? We have the flyer. And can you help me make this background?
Okay, inshallah, Prof.
And then send to my WhatsApp. And
Okay.
send to all the participants.
Yeah, yeah.
So most of the participants will come from UNISHAM, ITB, Ahmad Dahlan, and also Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah. So most of them are people that we know.
About the topic is related to the Islamic finance or is open topic about
It's
Islamic
open topic.
open topics, yeah.
Open topic.
Any discussion about the what you call that new era economic or anything about the the society?
Good.
For example, wakaf, zakat, anything that we can discuss.
Yes. Good.
Okay. How about if let's say we have already published Scopus and local like Sinta, is it we need to present?
Please do not present what has been published.
Okay.
Because what happens is we will have the proceedings, right? And we don't want to publish something that has been
Duplicate,
published before.
Okay.
We don't want to get into trouble with copyrights.
For
So,
example, Prof, we cannot attend the seminar. We cannot attend the seminar in person. By the recording, we send 10 minutes. Is it enough for the seminar? Just the recording. For example, maybe when is the date? I overlook the date.
okay, the date. You don't have to attend the seminar. Seminar is online.
Online, yeah. Because on the 26th November to 12th December, I will be on Umrah, Prof.
Okay.
26 November to 12 December, Umrah, inshallah.
So
Prof, so there will be no Q&A session?
no Q&A session.
Oh, just deliver. Okay, that's good. David, enough with the video. 10 minutes is enough only.
No Q&A.
I mean, like Sempro, method, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
For the journal, Prof, for the journal, that's which the better from two journal?
Same standard. It's both of them are international referee journal, still new, still in the so the first journal, International Journal of Contemporary Issues, was published 3 times already, and this is the 4th issue, right? And for the Cipher Journal, it will be the 2nd issue, because the first journal, IJCI, is published twice yearly, one in June, the other one in December. CGIF, Cipher International Journal of Islamic Finance, is published only once, which is in June only. So it was published last June, right? So the coming is June next year. The first one is published June this year, sorry, yeah. So the second one will be published in June next year. So both are not yet have any what? Both are not scopers, yeah, and both is still in the process of applying for my site. We have my site in Malaysia, but we must wait, I guess. We haven't received the response. So as of now, it's just you know, a regular international reference journal that is acceptable for all the students throughout Malaysia, or perhaps Indonesia. So because both journals are you know, are done by the lecturers, right? So we are not businessmen. We just you know, form this journal, and the reviewers are all professors, right, and associate professors. So we are not scammers, yeah. so so don't worry about that. It's just because it's still new. There is another journal which I myself was the founder, but it is put under different kuliah now. So what happened is we used to be in kuliah of Muamalat, right? And I was the first chief editor. And then in 2019, we how do you say? We were taken out of Kuliah Muamalat and we formed our own center called Cypher, right? So I need to create another journal. So it took me like 2 years, yeah, to get it registered with what you say, the internal ministry affairs. It takes time. So yeah, so that is my contribution under my effort together with some other lecturers, right? I have initiated and you know, initiated two journals where I was the chief editor. That's a lot of work to get, you know, to form the journal is a lot of work. All right. So I'm very happy that there are many students who will join us. So the date is 23rd to 24th, right? If there are many participants, so we just upload and we will tell each participant what time is the presentation. It will start in the morning, maybe until at night. So because it's online, you can watch, you know, or you can view online. So what happens is, if I present, I will ask my students to view, so to get, you know, many viewers. So if you know, if you present, you can encourage your students to view. So when I present, it's compulsory for all of you to view the video.
Share the date, Prof. Date and time, just share to us. We'll view you. We
Yeah,
support you
I will
to get more viewers.
Yeah, I will put in the WhatsApp group, yeah, the link, so you can view.
All right, all right.
It'll be all recording, yeah, it'll be all recording. and it will be also live recording, yeah, on YouTube and Facebook also. Okay. So if there is no other question, I think that's all the class for tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, if there is another question, go ahead.
Mashallah. Thank you.
Okay, most welcome. So,
You thank
yeah, that's it. That's all the class for tonight.
all right.
Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Jazakumullah khairan kathira. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Allah.
Thank you,
bro.
sir.
Thank you, bro.
Welcome.
Uh,
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Prof.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye, Prof.
Good night, sweet dreams.